So, I have a question for you. When you learn a new word, you learn the definition. But do you learn the pronunciation? No? Well, to perfect your pronunciation, you should. And I'm going to show you exactly how I would learn the pronunciation of new words. But first, let's rewind a second. I said perfect your pronunciation. Now, this is the perfect example of why pronunciation in English can be so tricky. Those paying close attention here will notice that we have the same word with two different pronunciations. Here it's a verb, perfect, and here it's an adjective, perfect. Perfect, perfect. Hear the difference? And that's typical in English, really. We can't rely on the spelling to tell us the pronunciation. Here, the sounds and the stress are completely different, so we have to learn and practice them. Now, this is how I do it. I want you to use your imagination, and I want you to imagine that we're reading a book and we're reading along together. In the midst of it all, the worthy vicar was very pluckily holding an early celebration, and his bell was jangling out above the excitement. I and the artilleryman, seated on the step of the drinking fountain, made a very passable meal upon what we had brought with us. Few tricky words here. Midst, vicar, pluckily, artilleryman, and drinking fountain. Very quick definitions. Midst, in the middle, quite old-fashioned, used in literature. Vicar, a type of minister in a church, like the person who leads the prayers. Pluckily, plucky is to show courage, so pluckily is like bravely. Artilleryman, a soldier in the artillery, that's the part of the army with the big guns. Drinking fountain, little tap, normally in public places where the water shoots out and you can have a drink. Now, you may have seen some of these words before, they might be familiar to you, but let's imagine they're new words. Now, we've learned our definitions, but that's not enough. We need to learn and practice the pronunciation too. Now, first, you'll probably want to focus on the key sounds. If you know the phonetic alphabet, you can look the words up in the dictionary, or you can Google it, and Google will speak the word aloud so you can hear those sounds. Now, when we talk about pronunciation, everybody focuses on the sounds, on the phonetics. But today, I want to pay attention to the stress. Let's look at the words again. I want you to tell me how many syllables and where's the stress. So, midst, one syllable, we don't need to think about the stress. Vicar, how many syllables? Vicar, vicar, two syllables. So we need to decide which one is stressed. Which syllable is stronger? Is it vicar or vicar? It's vicar. Pluckily, how many syllables? Pluckily, three syllables. You decide which is stressed. Is it pluckily, pluckily, or pluckily? Listen again in context. The worthy vicar was very pluckily holding an early celebration. Hopefully you picked this one. Hear it? Pluckily. Ba ba ba. Da da da. Pluckily. Pluckily. Next, artilleryman. How many syllables? Artilleryman. Da 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 da. Five syllables. Which one's stressed? Artilleryman. Hear that stress on the second syllable? Artilleryman. And our last one, you'll notice, is not really one word. We've got drinking fountain, which is what's called a compound noun. It's got two parts to it. And our stress with compound nouns is generally on the first word. So we have drinking fountain, not drinking fountain, no. Drinking fountain. And there are plenty of compound nouns that follow this rule. Some of them are two words, like swimming pool, washing machine, dog food, all stressed on the first word. Swimming pool, washing machine, dog food. And some have become one word, like haircut, smartphone, football. Again, stressed on the first element. Now, that's the general rule, but things get fun when we start to play with the rules a little bit. Let's take the compound nouns, sunrise and sunset. Sunrise in the morning, sunset in the evening. Normally, you'll hear we can use our rule with stress on the first element, sunrise and sunset. I love to sit on the beach and watch the sunset, but perhaps there is some confusion. The house is west facing, so I think we'll get to see a great sunset from the back garden. No, if the house is west facing, we'll get to see the sun rise from the back garden. See how we can switch that emphasis if we want to correct or emphasize a certain detail. And there aren't just compound nouns to think about. We can also have compound verbs, commonly referred to as phrasal verbs. And some can be both. Look at these two phrases. The police have announced a crackdown on antisocial behaviour. The police are starting to crack down on antisocial behaviour. Here we have crackdown and crackdown. So what's the difference? Well, crackdown is a noun, a crackdown. It means some severe measures to restrict or control an undesirable, or in this case, illegal behaviour. And crackdown is a phrasal verb. It's just the action, the doing of the noun. The police are starting to act to control the illegal behaviour. So I know we're talking about the definitions there, but hopefully you did hear the difference in pronunciation. The police have announced a crackdown on antisocial behaviour. The police are starting to crack down on antisocial behaviour. Yeah, that's right. Crackdown, but crackdown. Now, I know it might seem like a very small, insignificant difference in pronunciation, but those are the type of details that if you pay attention to, and you can first of all hear the difference between them, but then try and produce that difference so that you can mark out the stress on either the first or the second element of the compound, that's going to really make the difference. That's where, if you really want to perfect your pronunciation, that's the level of detail you need to be focusing in on. See, we always need to consider learning and practicing pronunciation. We started here by reading a short passage from War of the Worlds, and we learned some new words that we hadn't seen before, but we didn't just learn the definitions. We thought, how do you pronounce those? And we might have made some notes about where the stress goes on those words. And one of our words was drinking fountain. And we investigated a bit more and we found out that, drinking fountain's actually a compound noun. And there's rules about compound nouns. Normally the stress is on the first element, but not always. And that led us to learn some more compound nouns and practice them, and then practice the difference between them and moving the stress between the first and the second. So if reading in English isn't part of your normal language learning practice, why not give it a try? I think you'll find it invaluable. And if you haven't considered pronunciation in this way before, then maybe you're missing a trick. It's not about having a perfect accent or sounding like a native, but studying pronunciation is crucial if you want to understand and be understood. And most people don't give pronunciation enough attention. If you want to learn more about pronunciation, then I think you'll enjoy this video here. If you've watched this far and you haven't done already, click the subscribe button. And if you want to join the newsletter with English learning tips direct to your email inbox, just drop me a line to ewithmrd@gmail.com. Put the link below as well, and just say, sign me up to the newsletter. Okay, see you soon. Bye.